Good evening. Hey guys, how you doing? Cool. So we are doing a series called The Sixth Man. So 5 men on the court in basketball. We're all starters, and there's always one guy at least that gets to come off the bench first. Okay, might even qualify as a starter if it wasn't for somebody else on the team who's a little bit better. But every time he comes off the bench, he does something amazing. He's always helping the team. Okay, so he's the first guy ready to go. You guys ever hear about The Lion King? You guys have seen that, right? Awesome movie, The Lion King, Mufasa. That's just an awesome name, I think. Anyway, and Mufasa has a son.
Aw.
What's his name? Simba. Okay, cool. So Simba's nice and cute and everything until Simba becomes like a teenager, right? And then he's like dancing around. I just can't wait to be king. You know, he's like too impetuous. He can't wait. He's got this whole big life out planned out, right? He's going to be king next. So he's like, I'm ready now. I'm ready now. Can I just do it now? Hope you guys are taking notes over there. And then there's somebody else, though, in the story. Scar. Scar's made out to be the bad guy. Scar gets in the way. Simba can't be king because Scar, does a dirty deed, and now Scar's the one that takes it away. He kind of steals Simba's future, okay? Steals his opportunity to take the throne. Tonight I want to talk about somebody who was a prince, which is son of a king, who lost the crown to an outsider. So when I was a kid growing up in church, I'd always heard about, David, King David. Who couldn't like that, right? I mean, just an awesome guy. He killed a lion, he killed a bear with his hands, he killed Goliath, and, he wins all these battles, and, the ladies, he's like the Justin Bieber because he writes songs, and the ladies are all singing songs to him while they're dancing in the street, like, Saul has killed his thousands, but oh, David, he killed 10,000. They're loving. I mean, David is just this dude to be, right? And so but we can't talk about him tonight because he's the star player, okay? David is the star. We're going to talk about the king's son, Jonathan, and how he plays into this. Now, when I was a kid, these are the kind of pictures that I saw of David and Jonathan, okay? And so the Bible tells us that, Jonathan loved David like himself, and they were like best friends, but they loved each other deeply. And I don't know why, but there's always these kind of weird poses that they seem, with Jonathan and David, and it's really all emotional and everything. And I kind of got the impression, you go to the next one, Jonathan just looks a little mild, he kind of looks like he's a really emotional, very gentle dude. Go to the next, I don't know where he's looking at, I'm not sure. So here's David, he's carrying the Goliath head. But look at Jonathan, he's like, oh, David, oh. It's just, these are the kind of pictures that they did on flannel graph and stuff. And so I always thought, well, Jonathan was kind of a sissy maybe, I don't know. He just didn't seem like, I don't know, maybe he just, he loved David too much or whatever. So the next slide here kind of gives us, cartoons, this is another myth. Notice that Jonathan and David are, would you say they're close to the same age? So when you have a best friend, who do you think about? Somebody that's, like your age, right? That likes the things that you like, they do the things you do, right? And so you get together. The reality is, this is more like Jonathan and David, because Jonathan was at least 20 to 35 years older than David, but they had such a close friendship. They made covenants with each other, they protected each other. Jonathan especially was that way to David. So I'm going to talk about, to kind of get to know Jonathan a little bit. I'm just going to breathe through this. You've probably, if you've read the Bible, you've seen where the Israelites are always fighting somebody, but the Philistines kept happening over and over again. And the Philistines, they controlled on the coastal side of Israel, okay? And so they came to the coast. They were actually seafaring people, and they had come over from the Greek islands, and they had kind of taken over this land. And so they kept trying to encroach further inland, and that's where Israel was. Okay, that's where Judah was. And so the people of Israel were always fighting against them because they kept trying to take more and more territory. There were things and places that they wanted, so they continued to try to push inland. And so the Israelites were always kind of fighting against them. And so we come to this battle where King Saul is now the king, and Saul's like a big, tall dude, probably 6'5". He's just like, it says, like head and shoulders above everybody else. And the Israelites come up against them, and the Israelites have like 3,000 chariots, 6,000 charioteers. They've got, like, the Bible describes it, they've got more men, it's like sands of the sea. The place is just filled. And so they come up to this place called Michmash. I know, kind of a weird place, but they face off. Now, the Israelites are kind of at a disadvantage. Saul, when he starts out, has 3,000 men. About 1,000 men kind of leave him and go to the other side, go back way off. When they see how many men the Philistines have and how many warriors they have, they're way outnumbered. And so men start leaving, and they're like hiding in caves and in wells and in the woods. They're trying to find any place to hide. And so the fighting men that were left with Saul are like 600. So now it's even worse. 600 guys against the Philistines. What's even worse, I don't know if you know this about the Philistines. When they invaded, they were great with making iron. So they could make all the weapons that they wanted, the chariots that they wanted, okay? In Israel at this time, they weren't allowed to make any of those. So even their plows and things and instruments they used, the tools that they used, they had to go to the blacksmiths for the Philistines and have them sharpened. So the Philistines all had swords and javelins and everything. The Israelites had pitchforks or whatever they could find to kind of defend themselves. This was not a well-armed army at this point in Israel's history. So they, this is kind of what it looks like, Michmash. So you can see right up here, this is the town of Michmash. And that's where the Philistines are all garrisoned up. And then down here, it's off the screen, like about here. That's where the Israelites were lined up. And in between, there's this riverbed. Okay, it's a creek bed, and it dries out a lot of the time of year. Only in the spring does it kind of fill up with the snows and the melting. But if they have heavy rains, it'll fill up. Okay, so the Philistines are up here, and they're all amassed. And right on this ridge, I think it's on this ridge here, they've sent a garrison of soldiers. Okay, and go to the next slide. Kind of blows up. So this is what it looks like. This is where you go through. You got to walk through. This is the only way to get to Michmash. This is the only way to get there. Okay. So Saul's army has to travel through here. It's a really enclosed space. Okay. It's narrow corridor, easy pickings for another army. And so Saul's thinking, we'll attack at night. They won't see us. They won't know we're coming. That's what we're going to do. Trying to figure out, how to win this battle. Saul's son, Jonathan, decides, I'm going to see if God wants to put the Israelites into our hands. And so he gets his armor bearer and says, I'm going to go over there, and I'm going to go to this little cavern here. And when we get there, when they see us, if they ask us to come up where they're at, we're going to go up. And that's the sign that God is giving them into our hands. If they say they come down, no, we're gonna take off. So he's got this plan. Jonathan's gonna do this alone, right? So he and his armor bearer go down there, and sure enough, when they get there, the soldiers look down and go, oh, look like the Israelites have climbed out of their holes. Come on now, why don't you come up here? We'll teach you a lesson. We'll show you how to fight. We'll show you, so they're just kind of teasing and taunting Jonathan. So he climbs up this cliff, this embankment, and when he gets up there, they start fighting. And Jonathan and his armor bearer kill like 20 soldiers, okay? Because the garrison is no longer sending signals back to the Philistines in Michmash, they start to worry. They start to get confused. And so all throughout the Philistines' camp, confusion breaks out. And then God sends an earthquake. And they start killing each other. So the Israelites are standing back here, they're going, hey, look, they're like killing each other. Well, let's go help kill them, you know. And so they ran in, and the Israelites were successful, okay, because of the bravery or the confidence of Jonathan, really. You know, sometimes we look at bravery and we think, wow, I just wish I just had it to just go do that thing. Jonathan was confident that if God gave him a sign that he was going to win the battle, it was going to happen. Sometimes confidence will give us the bravery that we really seek for. Bravery doesn't just happen. It's not like Superman where you jump into a phone booth and you change, or it's not like the Hulk, you just get mad, now you're strong. It doesn't happen like that. Often our bravery is because of our confidence, and it can be because of our confidence. So there are several times in Jonathan's life, and I just want to kind of quick through some of these things. Jonathan loved David unselfishly. Jonathan, the Bible says that Jonathan made a covenant with David because he loved him as himself. Jonathan protected David. It says that, but, oh, it's not there. Okay. Jonathan protected David. Jonathan warned him. Jonathan warned David, my father is looking for a chance to kill you. Be on your guard tomorrow morning. So here's what happens. David kills Goliath. He gets all this attention, and Saul is jealous. And he's like, he's going to become king. People love him so much, I need to get rid of him. Because I don't want anybody to be king except for my son. I don't want him to take my kingship away. He's becoming more popular to me. So Saul's jealousy and his fear drove him to try to kill David over and over again. And Jonathan stood up to his dad, you know, and he risked his own life to warn David, hey, get out of here. Jonathan stood up for David. Jonathan went to his dad finally and said, look, don't let the king do what's wrong to his servant David. He has not wronged you, and what he's done has benefited you greatly. I mean, he won the battle against Goliath and the Philistines, didn't he? He's won all these battles. He's a good guy. Don't you see? Why are you trying to kill him? And he convinced his father to stop pursuing David, to kill him. This was a risk. I mean, Saul had a lot of anger issues. He even threw a javelin at his own son to pin him to the wall. He did that with David several times. So Jonathan also at one point encouraged David. So David was really concerned. He was hiding. He knew Saul was trying to get him, and he didn't know where to go. And Jonathan went to visit him, found where he was at. And the Bible says that Jonathan got up and went to David, and he encouraged him to trust God. He said, look, God has anointed you the next king. He's not going to let you die. My father won't be able to kill you. You're going to be the next king. I know that you are. And tied to that, Jonathan sacrificed for David. Jonathan said, you will be king over Israel, and I will be second to you. Do you understand what Jonathan is saying here? Jonathan is the prince. He's the next in line. The kingship and the palace, it's all his for the taking. When his father dies, it will be his. He's giving that up to help David. He's sacrificing his own dreams and desires because he knows that David has been anointed. And instead of being selfish, instead of being jealous, instead of trying to get David out of the way so he can get what he wants, he's a true friend. And he wants his friend to win more than he needs to win. In a few minutes, we're going to go to a small group. There's some things about friendship. I'm going to rattle some things off that kind of I've thought of about friendship and see if anything connects with you, okay? Good friends, best friends, they celebrate your wins. They honor and respect your boundaries. They call you out. Real friends tell you what you need to know, not just what you want to hear. They risk the relationship to be honest. That's a tough one sometimes. You know you need to be honest. Some of you here tonight have a friend and you know you need to be really honest with them, but you don't want to say it because it might risk the friendship. It might ruin things between you. They show up for you. You know you can trust them. They know the real you and they still somehow care. You know, it's better to be rejected for who you are than to be accepted for who you're not. Let me say that again. Because a lot of us are pretending to be something to be accepted. We're saying things, we're acting ways, we're doing things so that we can be liked. It's better to be rejected for who you are than to be accepted for who you're not. They challenge you to inspire and grow to be better. They apologize when they mess up. They don't ask you to do things you shouldn't, although there is that saying that friends don't let friends do stupid things alone. Right? Yeah, we've been there. Friends are like family that you get to choose. Good friends are hard to find, harder to leave, and impossible to forget. I don't know, do you have a best friend? Sometimes friendships happen for a reason. They're there to teach us something important. I've always believed that a man is blessed when he is a friend, but he's doubly blessed if he has a friend. The best way to have a friend, just to be a friend. The best role that you might play in your life can be a lifelong friend. I had a lifelong friend. I got two of them that I've known for like decades, and one of them just passed away last month. And it was really, really hard. You know how it is, we went through stuff. I mean, he stood up for me when I needed somebody to stand up for me. He's always been there. I've always been there for him. We've pastored together. We've pastored in neighboring towns. We just have been best friends all of our lives, ever since college. If you don't mind, I think I'd like to read something to you. I wasn't sure. I wrote a poem that I read at his funeral. It's just about best friends. Do you mind? When my heart needs a friend, just to laugh or to cry, to go somewhere new, or just sit silent nearby. I search through the list of acquaintances made, and humbled by few, and the roles they have played. I think I'm alone through most of life's turns, and deny this desire that deep within burns. I long for an ally who'll fight for my heart, who'll stand by my side and never depart. Keep trust of my secrets, my failures, my fears. Support me in weakness and witness my tears. Unafraid that you know me like few ever will. Unashamed that you love me enough to be still. Your rebuke is not judgment, just love being true as you whisper my name when I haven't a clue. You rejoice with my wins and bring challenge for more. You pursue when I'm hiding and knock on my door. You're a friend like a brother, yet much closer it seems. We've leaned on each other while chasing our dreams. So through laughter and tears, as this life finds its end, I will hold as a treasure that you were my friend. You want to do something significant with your life? You want to be somebody? Be a friend. It just might be the most important thing that you do. We all need friends. And we all have the opportunity to be friends. Take time in your small groups. Don't be afraid